aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. No second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No chains, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. Where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, and we're waiting for you. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, and we're waiting for you. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just the cold hard truth. We're the ones who fight, and we're ready for you. Locked and loaded, the truth's our ammo. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight. No bluffing, no running. Locked and loaded, the truth's our ammo. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight. No bluffing, no running. No running, no bluffing, no running. No running, no running, no running. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse where the real are found. No chains, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. No second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who fight, and we're ready for you. When the truth's our ammo, we're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight. No bluffing, no running. Lock and loaded, the truth's our ammo. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight. No bluffing, no running. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No chains, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. No second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. We don't back down. We stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No chains, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. This is the doghouse. Time to face the sound. Where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, now we're waiting for you. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, and we're ready for you.
I was not, but now I am. So now we are live. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Political Compass, where we have reasonable conversations with reasonable people. I apologize for lag. I have yet to figure out exactly why this lag is happening with my camera. I even lowered my my CPU settings, and it seems to not have really worked well. But anyways, I apologize for that delay, fellas. We were supposed to start exactly at 7 o'clock, but I was busy trying to put out the promo and deal with last minute changes to the stream because I like to do that. So anyways, guys, again, this is the Political Compass. We have two people. There are typically more people here, but it just depends on the day and how it goes. So what our objective is to have reasonable conversations with reasonable people all throughout the political spectrum. So we have Tiberius here, who is our resident centrist, even though he's not really a centrist, but it works. And then we have
introduce himself then.
Yes. So let's go ahead. What we'll do is we'll do introductions. Tiberius, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Yeah, sure. My name's Tiberius D. I'm a massive nerd. I'm the kind of guy who can talk about Star Wars and Star Trek and 40K at the same time. I like to get into politics because I actually legitimately give a crap, but I don't think I have all the right answers. So I like to go actually ask, hey, what's going on the ground floor, or talk to people that are involved in situations, look at official press releases, that kind of stuff. The best way to describe me is actually an Eisenhower Republican, or maybe a Teddy Roosevelt Republican. Like I identify there's a lot of things I agree with the current Republican Party. I agree with on, but there's also a lot of things I don't. And I think some of you guys got to see that in the last episode. But if you're kind of curious what that might be, stick around, folks. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely, Wes. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where you stand, our fellow commie over here. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, I guess I represent the commie. I don't really self-describe as a commie. Let me start at the top. My name's Wesley. I use he, they pronouns. Either set works fine. I guess represent the most leftist of the voices here on the Political Compass. Although I tend to just describe myself as a general leftist rather than like an anarcho-communist or a communist or a socialist. Because there's a lot of things I agree with in all of those systems, but I'm not nailed down anymore to exactly one of them. So general leftist, and yeah, we'll just leave it at that. You guys will get to know me if you hang around and listen to each week.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, so let's just jump straight into it. As we know, on Tuesday, I believe it was, we had a first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And I am of the opinion that what we saw was Donald Trump absolutely gets smoked in the debate. It was absolutely Kamala Harris who won. I think most polls are even reflecting that. Even the most conservative polls have reflected that Kamala Harris won that. And as such, the fallout has been pretty dramatic. We have seen Donald Trump tweeting for past several days saying that he won, and Kamala has been awfully quiet other than, hey, I'm down for another debate. It kind of, in my opinion, speaks volumes of that. And so, yeah, let me know what you guys think. What Tiberius, what did you think about that debate and how it turned out?
So I watched about the first hour and a half, I'd say. But this is quite a substantial debate, and I actually liked the quote unquote the intimate setting. It was really just them and the moderators. And to some degree, I kind of appreciate if they continue doing debates that way. Like getting the crowd in where they're clapping and applauding is kind of annoying. But to answer your general question here, I didn't like this debate at all. I thought both candidates looked terrible and made me want to stay home even more than I already do. Kamala basically looked really weak and feeble. There was a lot of levels where instead of speaking with like some sternness or authority, like she's automatically like begging the American public just to listen to her. That's literally how this sounded to me. Trump sounded like he was completely just deranged. There were some parts where I have to admit he sounded at least good or credible or like had spoke with authority. But the problem is like, you're also the guy who's going around believing the memes about people eating dogs and shit. Like there's a lot. Yeah, we'll get into this.
Get to that one.
We'll get into that here in a second, I'm sure. But just my general opening is that both candidates looked terrible. Both candidates did not do anything for me as a voter and as a potential swing vote moderate to make me want to go out and vote for them. If anything, they made me decide to want to stay home more. And I can say it in just the succinct level as I can. It's not we'll talk about policy, and the policies are like these mile wide, inch deep ideas that no one can explain to me. And it's like, hey, you know what? If you can't tell me what you're going to negotiate with Putin and Zelensky to get a deal, tell me that. Like, hey, I can't give you away the plot. Otherwise, whatever. Like these people are treating me as a voter like I'm an incompetent retard who can't make up my own mind. There's no detail, there's no nuance, there's no neither of them would bite the bullet. Trump wouldn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna veto a national abortion ban." Harris wouldn't go the other way and say, "Hey, look, after 6 months, I'm not doing this shit." Like, there's no contrition, there's no give, there's no take. This fucking sucks. I'm done.
Yeah, no. I here's the thing, man. Is I feel like they both gave very surface level opinions, but I also don't think this was a place to really go deep into the weeds on these particular policies. I think most normies aren't going to really even care about the weeds. They just want to hear some feel good feels about it. What I will say is that it came off to me, and Wes, I'll let you jump in here in just a second. It felt like to me, Kamala Harris was far more prepared, and Donald Trump was initially prepared, but then quickly fell off of that preparation. Wes, where do you fall on this in terms of the debate and how it turned out?
Well, I would say that I don't feel like Donald Trump was prepared even at the beginning. Like his answer to the first question went off the rails into the Haitians eating pets thing. And the first question had nothing to do with that. It was just like him just flying off the cuff, just ready to repeat this racist shit. So I don't feel like he was prepared even at the beginning, but I also feel like Kamala was prepared, but not necessarily in the right ways. Like, I don't understand how her team did not prepare her with a rejoinder to the post-birth abortions or to the migrants eating pets thing. Like, honestly, those are two things that he's been talking about at all of his rallies for.
Well, not the pets,
then the pets thing is new.
Yeah.
But he's been talking about post-birth abortions and like the doctors, taking the baby and deciding what to do with it after the birth. He's been talking about that since 2020, dude. Like he's been saying that at his rallies for years. So the fact that she didn't have an easy rejoinder to that, and your team should, because like it's very easy, in my opinion. I'm prepping Kamala for the debate right now. I go, Kamala, he's gonna bring up third term and post-birth abortions. You need to be able to tell him how rare post-birth abortions are and how devastating they generally are for the family. Tell a story of a family that you knew that had to go through a third term abortion, but they already had the room painted, they had the crib built, they had the name picked out, and it was the hardest thing that they ever had to do. Because that truthfully is what most third term abortions are. So like the fact that she didn't jump on that or have an immediately compelling rebuttal to that tells me that like she was prepared, but maybe for the wrong things. Like almost like she was prepared for a more prepared Trump. And the fact that Trump went off the hinges and went off the rails so quickly, she wasn't prepared for that. Maybe I don't know.
I think that what I saw is that she did have some quips, and I think that the abortion thing, albeit it is a very important issue to the woman voter block. I think that when you get down to the brass tacks, I think it's such an absurd position that it doesn't really need to be honed in on as much, right? There are certain topics you want to kind of hit and run, right? You want to kind of hit it. You want to say that it's silly, ridiculous, and then move on. And I think that that's kind of what she did with that, was she just wanted to kind of hit it, say that's absurd, and kind of just move on from it. Because I think there was a poll, if I could find it again, it's been a little bit, was that most Americans don't even believe that third-term abortions are even really even happening. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was like 64%. Let me see if I can find it. I had it in the prep space here. Let's see. Oh, do you believe it is true or false that in some states it is legal to Minecraft a baby after birth? And 61% believe that was false. So they don't, a majority of America, and then, to put this in comparison, 26% believed it was true. And I'd be almost willing to bet that 26% is probably the Republicans. I didn't look into the poll to see exactly what that was. But I'd be almost willing to bet that was majority MAGA. So again, it goes back to, do you want to harp on this issue and kind of give leg to where there doesn't need to be legs given? Or do you just kind of hit it and move on? Feel free to jump in at any time, guys. By the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead, buddy. You're up.
I was just gonna say, I used to work in, I used to work at the abortion store.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
And like, it is true that they do happen. And not to post birth, that has never happened anywhere. That's just murdering a child. But the third terms do happen, and I do think it's kind of worth addressing because he harps on it so much that he makes it seem like it's just an option for everybody, when like abortion providers, we never provided even a second term abortion, because it's not an abortion at that point. It is a surgery that is undertaken by like you and a doctor in a hospital, not in like a Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And so I get what you're saying, that it's like, it's ridiculous enough of a claim that maybe you should just let the moderator, as they did, the moderator just said, currently no states do post-birth abortion. Moved on past that. And maybe that was the right move, but like, I also feel like that's an easy slam dunk to just like tell a 2-minute story or a 1-minute story and not only completely debunk him, but also maybe make those people realize that third-term abortions aren't just something that a 17-year-old girl goes and gets,
of course,
on a Saturday morning because she felt like it,
Tiberius and everybody else, let me ask you guys, you mentioned the moderators. I think this was a big issue that I had seen going around Twitter and some other social media platforms, was that the moderators were biased against Trump. And I didn't get that sensation. In fact, the one thing that kind of stuck out to me was the mic muting rule. I thought it was non-existent. The only one who got their mic muted, and it really wasn't by the moderator, so to speak, as much as it was just production, was what I felt like was Kamala. I didn't see much of like them going, okay, Trump, you're rambling, let's mute the mic. He objectively got more airtime than any other than Kamala. So what do you guys think about the biased moderators and how that happened?
The problem here was pretty straightforward, is that a lot of people who watch this who, are going to claim biased moderators, is that it really seemed like the moderators were going to back up all the factual or unfactual statements towards favoring Kamala. And the reality that I've got to say is like, hey, don't have your guy spoil a bunch of bullshit. It goes both ways. Like the problem is that, was there anything that Kamala really said that was like massively unfactual? No, like some of it's opinion, and that's where the moderators don't show up. But moderators are going to show you up whenever they usually say when you're going, hey, like I believe that there was dogs and cats being eaten. It's like we have no police record stating this. We have like it's just like it's one of those things that I see a lot of people on the right do a lot, where it's just like they want to play by their rules in somebody else's house, and I'm like, bro, this shit doesn't fly. Stop doing this. Like you can't expect people to play by your rules in their house. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Yeah. Stop. They used to do it on Twitter where they just be like, I want to say this and I can't say this. Political oppression. It's like, no, that's their house. It's their rules. And if you don't like it, you get fucked. Like you can go on True Social and say that stuff. You ain't bitching about that, are you? Like it literally to me, and like I am pointing fingers more at the right here than the left, but we can always find reasons the left is fucking up too. But the right is screwing up more here. Like it's just a petulant whining of people who say, I don't like how the way things are going, and so I'm just going to scream and holler and be a bunch of Kens and Karens. It's literally what it is.
I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more either. And I think that's the biggest thing is like when we look at this ABC, or I think it was ABC debate, when we look at the debate, Trump accepted those terms. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, am I being gaslit? Donald Trump accepted the terms. He ended up coming to the debate and he absolutely got destroyed in the debate. It's plain and Jane and simple. And now he's trying to say, I don't need to take another debate because only the losers need to do another debate. It's like, my guy, like you lost. Okay. And this is the problem I have with Donald Trump is the refusal to, and this is something that's become very transparent over the past week, is that he refuses to take accountability for anything. He refuses to go back on his on a statement he made prior and correct the record. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to sit there and say that he acknowledges an affiliation with a particular group or individual. And if he does, he'll be like, "Oh, well, they're not that bad of a person. I've heard good things." So this is something I've seen over the past week. It's like he has a refusal to admit when he's wrong. Plain Jane and simple. And that's something that really had struck me here is like in the debate, I didn't think the moderators were biased at all. I think Trump just did a terrible job. And I tell people all this time, if you think that the moderators were biased, what does that say about your candidate? It means that your candidate was ill prepared. That candidate should have been prepared for this. It's not like he was going on to Fox News and all of a sudden Fox News threw a curveball. No, this is ABC. Someone that he is notorious. Yeah, go ahead.
If I was going to steel man this at all, I would just simply say that there is a level of responsibility that Kamala has for like fact checking her opponent. And when the moderators are consistently like going against that one person, like it's kind of up to personal optics. It's either, oh, they're coming after my guy because they're biased, or it's, oh, well, they're doing their job at checking facts and whatever, which honestly, that's one of those questions that I don't know if that's negotiated as part of the thing. But if Trump was to go into another debate, which I think he should, is that that's actually a stipulation I'd be like. It's like, look, the moderators aren't here to correct me. You are. That's your fucking job. So there's a level where, like, I can steel man the argument, but there's just a level where, like, Kamala said everything largely was that I thought was something I disagree with was a matter of personal opinion. Largely, it's like, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I have done so. And it's like, I don't agree with you, but, like, it's not something I can just say, here's the numbers, here's the facts, you're wrong. It's like she's respected among people that she's met. I don't fucking know. I haven't met Zelensky. I can't tell you. And then Trump says the same shit. I don't fucking know. I'll like if they tell me something whenever I do meet him, if ever I do, then I'll let the American public know. But until then, I'm just gonna roll.
CNN fact check your last statement, and Viktor Orban actually thinks you're mid.
I want to ask you guys this. Tiberius, you're a big foreign policy guy. Let me ask you something. Did you see when Trump was saying that I've spoken to Zelensky and he mentioned something along the lines of he will speak to Putin even before he gets into office? And I think everyone's kind of swept this under the rug. What's your opinion on this being a violation of the Hatch Act?
It's not the Hatch Act that this is a violation of. This is a violation of the Logan Act.
Okay.
Let's make sure we get our things. Hatch Act is is campaigning as a public official. Like that's largely what that's supposed to crank down on. There's actually another one where you can't do it on federal grounds. I can't remember which one that is. Logan Act is acting as a representative to the United States without the expressive permission of the United States government. Usually that's done by the president because he's the head diplomat of the United States, or she. Excuse me. There's a gray area where he mentioned where it's like, are you allowed to do anything while you are president-elect? And even though I hate to steel man for this bastard, there's a level where it's like, you are the incoming administration. You are assumed to be the guy who's going to be, taking charge. So making deals as president-elect, I don't actually have a problem with. Some people might, and if we need to have a constitutional crisis convention over that issue, warranted, legitimately warranted. But this has never been an issue, and I don't think it's reasonable to make it an issue because, there's a general assumption. Hey, I come in on January 20th. This is what the deal is going to be. I've made a deal with you, or I'm going to negotiate with you. The only thing that can cause that to legitimately be a problem is if the incoming administration is doing something that is completely contrary to the outgoing administration, because the outgoing administration still is in office and still has priority. But we've never had that as a thing. Now, granted, is this one of the issues that could make that a thing? Potentially, yes. So, not saying this couldn't go bad, but it shouldn't go bad. But welcome to Trump.
And I have a question for you, Tiberius, because I'm not too familiar with these things, but wouldn't something like this be considered somewhat normal? And you're not going to go there and say hey, if I become president, then this exactly will happen. But it's kind of just schmoozing with the right people to show what you're going to be like. If you're, if let's say you're Kamala right now and you decide to go have a meet with Bibi Netanyahu and it's all hugs and love, you're not necessarily acting as the president-elect, or you're not making any promises that might violate the Logan Act, but you're still kind of showing your hand a bit on how you are going to, doesn't that always kind of happen?
Okay, so usually it's not a presidential figure that's ever the problem with the Logan Act. It's usually a senator or a House rep who's going off and doing a facts and inquisition kind of finding. We had this with Pakistan back in the 80s, really, really bad. In fact, they kind of wanted to get old Charlie Wilson on this a little bit because he basically was making necessarily secret meetings with the Pakistani and the Saudi governments to get funding to go help against the Russians. And believe it or not, most people who were in the White House had no fucking clue this shit was going on. And remind you, this was $1 billion in the 1980s that was going down to shooting Russian helicopters in Afghanistan. There was hearings, if I remember right, on if Charlie Wilson violated the Logan Act, and it was one of those deals where he had enough friends in Congress and enough people who actually agree with him that they didn't hit him with it. But the reality was he pretty well did, at least from what I understand. So Kamala wouldn't have any problem because she's part of the current administration. She's sitting VP, right? So unless Biden, decided I no longer feel that she's fit for VP, I do not give her diplomatic exchange and openly tells the world, do not accept her as an ambassador to from the United States, she's free and clear. It's Trump that has a lot of room to fuck this up.
Right. I should have used Trump in the example because she is both sitting and potentially president-elect. But yeah, I see what you're saying. That's good to know.
Yeah. I am a little concerned with where Trump would be, but this, I don't want to make something an issue until it has to be an issue. And the reason why I say that is that we're still hung up on the fucking documents case. And after 4 years, he still is not even gotten sentencing yet. By the way, fact check on that shit. That case was not dropped. The United States v. Trump is not gone. It's being reformatted because what they said was that if it's an official acts of the president of the United States, you can do this. Well, there's no officiality onto classification or declassification. And it's one of those deals where it's not expressed in the Constitution. You can make assumptions, but I'm pissed at Roberts. I really, really pissed at Justice Roberts on this one. There's some times where he just doesn't try to get involved in a fight. And he's trying to like say, hey, look, we'll send it to the lower courts. They can deal with this. Or we'll send it back to the legislatures. They can deal with this shit. This is one of those times where like the Supreme Court needs to be a very strong arm, hand-on ruling. This is what they mean by the securities clause is basically what it is for the rights of the president to classify and declassify information at will. Because we've got federal laws about this shit. We do. Like, you're supposed to actually go through a process to declassify information, and Trump's just like, Constitution says I don't have to worry about that shit. I'm the president. I declassify, get fucked. That's not a way to run a country.
Well, keep in mind too, Trump just recently talked about wanting to basically upend the First Amendment via the burning of the flags. So we saw Trump. I had to find the exact tweet, but he said that he would make it constitutional, which is interesting because how do you go about trying to make the flag burning thing constitutional when it's already precedent? It's set in stone precedent. That would be like almost the equivalent of trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. And so the only way you would have to do that would have to be upending the First Amendment completely and then trying to reinstall the First Amendment. It'd be insane.
You can do it. You do it as an amendment. You're just saying, hey, look, this act does not abide by freedom of expression. And we constitutionally recognize it where if you're burning the American flag, you're committing you are committing a federal felony. Like, you can do that, but it's not going to fucking happen.
No, it's not going to happen at all. It's not going to happen at all. And that's the really interesting thing, is as we're talking about this, I saw a tweet recently of Trump, and I want to clarify this for anybody who's out there and who is watching this on Twitter, which there's a good chance that a lot of you guys are. I want to make this clear. I tweeted out and it went freaking viral where Trump signed a flag at an event. And I mentioned that he was desecrating the flag and he was in violation of the U.S. flag code. I want to be very clear what I mean by this. I am, fully aware that the U.S. flag code was abolished in about the 60s or 70s. I'm aware of that. It doesn't change the fact that it is currently still on the books today as a U.S. flag code. It is still there. It's just not enforceable, right? So he did do that. And two, he did desecrate it. If you look up the textbook pedantic definition of desecrating, he desecrated the flag. Now, the bigger overlying issue I have with this of signing his name on the flag is for the same purpose that I had with the Arlington issue. He is doing this for political purposes, and that is where I have an issue. If a soldier wants to sign a U.S. flag, I think they, in my opinion, have more right to sign that flag than a president who is running for office to sign that flag. It's no different than the same thing with some family member that's going to Arlington and having there's a clear difference between a family member who goes to Arlington because they lost their loved one and they take a picture with all of their loved ones versus a presidential candidate going to Arlington and taking a photo that is not blurred out with all of the other soldiers' graves right around him. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Unless you guys, if you want to.
I'm finished on my rant. My rant's over. I know we're a little bit removed from the debate, guys, but this is how we're going to roll things. We're just going to let it roll where the conversation rolls. Go ahead, Wes.
This is way better because neither of us wanted to talk about the debate anymore.
I agree. Go ahead.
I think I do agree with you, and like he did desecrate the flag, and that is against the flag code. And while it's not enforceable, there's no teeth to it. I still do like. Even as a major lefty who like hates this country, basically, I still respect the flag code. I don't think the flag should touch the ground. I don't think that you should desecrate it. But like, let's also be serious. Like, there have when the 4th of July comes around, paper plates that feature the flag on them. That's against the flag code. Blue Lives Matter flags. That's against the flag code. Like, violating the flag code is something that we've been doing flagrantly for decades. So, like, I agree with you, but at the same time, that is the last thing I would ever get hung up on because I don't think anybody in this country... Like, I've got a pair of American flag swim trunks. They touch my nuts. I'm pretty sure that violates the flag code. It should.
And here's the thing. Why is it as soon as listen, we'll get into guys, don't worry, we are going to get into the feline debate, but why is it when I open up Twitter, the very first thing I see is something about that? Okay.
Dude,
I was talking about. Exactly.
Terrible.
It is. We'll get into that shortly, but when it comes to the flag code thing, I also want to make this very clear to everybody. And Tiberius, this is why I wanted to have a conversation with you about it. And I have no problem doing it on here as well. I want people to be very clear of how X works. You have X and TikTok are very alike in the same way of where you have about 2 seconds to get a message out and catch somebody. That's exactly what's going on. So when I post something on Twitter, I don't have time, and this is where a lot of people fail on Twitter or X, is they want to run a 30 message long, a 30 paragraph long story. Nobody's going to read it. So what you have to do is you have to fire off a quip. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to fire off a quip that I'm not ready to defend, just like I did just now with the whole desecrating of the flag thing. And so that's the same thing here is I have to fire off something quick just to make sure that people can see that. Okay. So that is why I was short, simple, to the point. A lot of people were, it was an insane amount of people that were like, oh, but did you see the left? I kid you not. I probably had about, I don't remember how many replies I had, but I'm pretty certain it was in the hundreds or 400s. A majority of those were like, did you see the lefties burning the flag at the Palestinian protest? I'm like, yeah. And almost every leftist condemned it. Where was the right condemning J6? Nowhere. So again, it's funny to me. Oh, and let me just tell you too, while I'm on this Twitter rant, okay? So right now, if you're on Twitter, by the way, watching this, you're getting a little insight to my thought process here. I can't tell you guys, and this kind of ties to the debate. When I mentioned a tweet where Kamala Harris went over to Trump, and I said, "Man, that's some dominance." Y'all, I kid you not, it was like a tale of two cities. The moment you challenge their Lord and Savior on how he is weak-minded, oh my goodness, MAGA Twitter goes nuts. My entire comments for that tweet, I kid you not, was the exact same thing, going, you think that's dominance? Dominance is standing there and just doing that. Where all my likes were leftist. It was literally, I never saw a comment from a leftist that was like, yeah, that's pretty dominant. No, literally, it's like you mentioned their Lord and Savior, they come at you like a bat out of hell. And kind of tying this a little bit back to the debate, guys, have y'all noticed that the right is touting how Trump won, and then they're showing Twitter polls? Have y'all noticed that?
Dude,
I don't care.
I don't care either, but it is the most insane thing to me to ever quote a Twitter poll, especially when you have a captured audience. Like people who have made their lives being conservative on Twitter, and then they run a poll that shows that Donald Trump won, and it's like, who the fuck do you think is voting on your poll other than your audience, dude? Like, that's not how polls... It's so frustrating to me to ever see it even mentioned, because it's such a ridiculous idea that you can poll your own following on Twitter and draw anything substantive from that.
I don't even know where to begin with this. I have people who I really care about who believe in Donald Trump easily and think that the Democrats are a bunch of pedos and shit. I know the exact opposite. I know people who look at generally Republicans as a bunch of evil, racist, yada 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 yada. The list goes on. I can't preach into those people's ideas. I can't. I can have a generally rational conversation where I can suck the oxygen out of the room. But that only depends on, if people are half sensible. I can talk to someone like Gibbs and I can at least get something. I can talk to someone like, what's his name? Big Papa Fascist, LARPer cunt. What the hell's his name? Andrew Wilson, someone like that. And I'm just like, you're too far gone. Like Rob Nord, too far gone. And then there's some other folks. There's some other folks that I can talk about on the left, right? That the same problem. It's just I can't breach into the semblance of sanity. I cannot do it. So if you're on Twitter making a lot of these polls and shit, you're what I call Twitter brained. And I don't have time for that shit. I really don't. I had a great exchange with somebody on Facebook not too terribly long ago where it was, oh, hey, we had an I-75 shooter, actually.
Yes,
last
I saw
weekend, that. Which I don't even know if this guy's been caught yet. But the long and the short was this guy went and bought 1,000 rounds of ammo that morning and then perched himself up with an AR-15 and started taking shots to the interstate around 5 p.m. that evening. Somehow, somewhere, somebody was able to find his Facebook profile. At least it looks pretty damn real. I can't verify it myself because it looks like Meta's blocked it. But they said that he had purchased a firearm. They said exactly what that firearm was. They said the name of this guy, and they said how many. They said that he had 2,000 rounds that he bought. Before the police had even made a report. And I simply just quote tweeted, hey, if this ends up being real, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Well, guess what? You know what? This person who was all pissed off about how social media has a bunch of rumors and it was all just hanging around and whatnot. They were haggling over the fact that when it was all said and done, almost all that information was dead correct. But nope, it's a social media rumor because it was 2,000 rounds and not 1,000 rounds. I'm like, no. I hit the block button. I'm moving the fuck on. If you are so warped that you're going to haggle when almost every major detail is right, but the ammo count was half off, when it's still 1,000 fucking rounds, I can't help you. I can't fucking help you. You need help.
Yeah.
And I can look at it.
Snopes said this was mostly false because the count of ammo. And it's like, fuck you, dude. That's not mostly false. Like, but
it's not even a Snopes thing. It was just straight up where it's like he's like, hey, I live in this community. I went to the thing, and it's just like he has hardly a prior record, and it's like, okay, he's been charged with a DUI. He's been charged with a few things where it's like, okay, Kentucky's not gonna like put this over the top, right? Here's the problem. While the charges were dropped, he was arrested earlier this year for third-degree terrorism, which is actually a thing, and I've never seen this. Now, granted, for some reason they elected to drop this charge, which came back to bite them in the ass, but it's one of those deals where, okay, can we admit that on the books, Kentucky had the right to sell this person a firearm? Yes. Can we also admit that there ain't no social media here outside simply saying, this looks terrible for Kentucky. This dude's clearly mental.
Yeah.
This dude clearly had a bunch of warning signs. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up where we do the whole Bart Simpson meme where the FBI's like, we knew he was a problem, but we couldn't fucking do anything about it. Because that's been like the last 4 major mass shooters that like people got to see the names that's on the news. The FBI's literally said, we knew they were a problem, but we can't do a goddamn thing about it.
They did it with Uvalde. I think it was Uvalde. Yes. We had it with
the most recent one.
Yes.
The first one of the
high school.
It's so fucked up that as an American, I have to say the first school shooting of the season. But It was the first school shooting of this season. And the FBI had visited this dude. Like
and guys, I want to mention this too for anyone who's unaware, because I'm a big law nerd. Okay. This was kind of mentioned and then quickly ran away. The father of that child was charged not just with like third degree, just involuntary manslaughter. He was charged with second degree murder. Guys, I'm actually okay with this. I was kind of, when I saw the Crumblies go through, by the way, I watched that case through and through. I thought that it was like the defense attorneys absolutely dropped the ball on that in a lot of ways. But on this case, it looks like this is way more egregious. And what I mean by that is that he objectively knew, meaning the FBI came, now this is alleged, everything I'm about to say is alleged, but allegedly the FBI came to his house, interviewed this guy, and then the father thought it was a great idea, okay, to go out and buy his kid a gun. What the hell? Like, that's so stupid.
The sheer stupidity and profundity of the dad taking that action is the only reason that, unlike the last case, it only took like a day or two before the second degree murder charges were dropped against the father as well, because in this situation, it is just so blatantly irresponsible for him to do what he had done. Whereas like before, I forget the exact last case, but it took like months, I think, for that charge to come against the parent.
You talking about the Crumblies?
Yes. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
And it took months for that to come about, if I remember correctly. and it wasn't like so clear cut. Whereas in this situation, I feel like most people that read that story that were like, wait, the FBI had been to his house for a school shooting threat, and then you bought him a gun and he killed people at a school. Yes, you are responsible. Like it's just it's
so
very
bad.
clear to most people.
I'm going to state for the record that I barely remember the case with the Crumleys. I just remember it was a thing, and I have absolutely no details on this school shooting in Georgia because I have other things. I'm not a legal scholar. I do not have a law degree, and this is not my wheelhouse. If I need to, I will do my research. But so far, stating for the record here, for anyone who doesn't know me, I hate, loathe, and admonish people talking about court cases that are still active. They don't let the juries fucking do it, and I don't have subpoena powers. So I'm going to try to stay the fuck away from this one.
Yeah, no, I get it. And we won't talk about it too long. I was only mentioning that in the sense of what you were talking about with the Kentucky shooter, right? And so that's why I kind of draw that in. But this is another thing I want to kind of talk about, guys, is I feel like we're kind of dancing around it a little bit. Let's just do it. We're going to jump headfirst into this, guys. Let's talk about the cats and the dogs in Ohio, okay? Let's do it. We're jumping into the murky pool, the pool that we don't want to jump into, that we absolutely hate, and we don't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to address it because it's been really getting under my skin. As a former conservative, as a former MAGA, okay, I've really been wanting to talk about this, and I haven't had the chance this week because of everything going on, okay? It's been crazy. So let's talk about what has taken place. So this blew up very, very, very quickly, like more faster than a wildfire. What ended up happening was there was a body cam footage released of a woman who was allegedly eating a cat. This is what I want people to remember. This is how this started, okay? This is how all of this started, was of this woman going in and allegedly eating this cat. Well, then all of a sudden, it made it through the spaces, and you had JD Vance quote tweeting this, and the rumor was that this woman was Haitian. Turns out, spoiler alert, she was not Haitian. She was American. She had, go ahead, Wes. What's going on? Yeah, break me in if I'm lying about something. Yeah.
No, not lying. I had a different understanding of where the actual origin of it came from. Because I think there are a couple stories right now, and I watched the video of a neo-Nazi at the Springfield City Hall meeting who was talking about it. And when I say neo-Nazi, that's not just me being a leftist calling someone I don't like a neo-Nazi. He is a member of a neo-Nazi organization, and they actually had to censure him in the middle of the town hall meeting, what I saw. And I thought that was the first incarnation of this. It doesn't really change the story either way. It's both just random people saying shit without any evidence. But I just wanted to throw that out there because especially seeing how this has progressed and the people who are latching onto it now, if it did come from an actual neo-Nazi, that would actually check out.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that video, and I think what it's important for people to understand is that video is important because what the catalyst of this was that video of the body cam. That body cam is what sent everything into a tailspin. And then what ended up happening was, as people were trying to find a way to justify their position, because, they didn't decide to research this to begin with, they wanted to justify their wrong position. They then went to this town hall meeting that Wes is talking about and was like, look, see, the residents are saying it happened, so clearly it happened. And then as they started doing some digging, they found an image of an African-American male walking across the street with a goose. Thus, we got the cats and the goose. And then you had some weird-ass memes going around Twitter all day long. And when I first opened up Twitter on, I think it was Tuesday morning, I was like, this is weird. What the hell is the cats and goose thing going on? And that's what it was. There was an image now of a African-American male walking across the street with a goose. Spoiler alert, guys. It turns out the Department of Wildlife for Ohio had to come out and they said, hey, guess what? He's not, I believe, and I could be saying this, he's not Haitian. or at least it has not been proven that he's Haitian. And furthermore, he was picking up dead geese from the side of the road. And guess what? They're still doubling down. They're still going at. I'm like, what are we doing? What are those? What are those? Why are we doing this?
Well, it's
why
just,
are we
okay.
doing this?
So I got a couple of things here, but I'm going to let Wes go first because he looks like he's about to have an aneurysm.
Only because I'm going to be really quick, and that otherwise I'd let you go first. But I just want to say that I've been calling this type of shit, and this is just the migrant caravans of 2024. It is every 4 years. They will stoke up fears about immigration, and every 4 years, Democrats will stoke up fears about abortion. It is just part of their game plan. We always knew that there was gonna be a new migrant caravan, and right now, the new migrant caravans is Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, Colorado. Go ahead, Tiberius.
I kind of don't disagree with that, and I was going to frame it a different way, but I'll build off of that. There's levels where there's some real bullshit being said, and like this is where I get a little confused. I think there's legitimate reasons to punch on the left for. I was having a panel earlier this week where we were talking about a law in California where it gives teachers the ability to not tell parents information about their own children in the event that the parent or that the teachers deem like the parent to be a threat to their own child.
What
That's not your
information.
Yeah, like there's levels where I'm like that. I think that's easy punch, easy win to go after Democrats on, because like there's a lot of things I think you can really get that parent vote out to go, hey, look, we don't agree with this. Like even if we'll bite the bullet and say if we think that you're going to beat the shit out of your daughter for wearing the hijab, we're still going to say you deserve to be told. We're just calling CPS when we do it. Like that's the more like rational approach that I would like to see out of our politics is actually cramping down on crazy shit and crazy policies. And instead it's like, no, I got crazier policies than you. You can't out. It's wild. It's like, I gotta be real. I gotta cope here a little bit. This is reality TV politics. We're here. We've got it. So unfortunately, I don't think this is a great way to run a country, to the point where I don't feel like I'm necessarily a voter, but,
yeah,
like going forward, just to finish this up, there's parts where the right's pissed, and they need to be very clear about this. Like they look at the left as like pathological liars. And one of the things that really kind of pissed them off was the trans issue, because all of a sudden we went from Oberfeld to like trans people are a thing, and they're part of the LGBT rainbow. And there's levels where it's just like, this shit was not what you all were saying, not only just a year ago. And now where did this come from? And there's levels where the right legitimately believes, and I'm talking about like just the average guy who lives in the sticks or some shit, right?
Yep.
These people are nuts. These people are liars. These people are absolutely deranged. And there's levels where I get it. And then there's levels where they're so convinced to prove that the world is sideways that they will take the littlest bits of evidence, and they're literally the guy who's like smoking with the fucking, wires or like the red wires behind him, like, hey, I've got this, dude. I've got it. And I'm like, yo, unironically, as bad as the left is, you guys are worse right now. And I hate to say that because I want to be on your team.
And that's the thing. I want to kind of pivot this back a little bit to the fact of two things. First, I want to say, could you imagine being a normie, not being on Twitter? You're like the 60-year-old grandmother who's sitting on the couch going through, and you're what's like, okay, I'm going to watch the debate. And you flip it on, and Donald Trump goes, they're taking the cats, they're taking the dogs. You're like, whoa, what? Your poor grandma's going, what the hell is going on? Who's taking the cats? Who's taking the dogs? And then meanwhile, she's pet and fluffy. For me, the other thing I want to mention is this is like the Muslim ban 2.0 on steroids. This is the problem I have with this, is that, like, I'll admit here, I defended the Muslim ban a little bit, only to the extent that I was like, look, I thought that this wasn't really a Muslim ban, blah, blah, blah. I kind of defended it a little bit. Now they're wanting me to, like, I'm like, I don't want to defend that shit anymore, because now I'm looking at what they're saying, and then they're like, oh, well, the Haitians do this and that. And see what happened was, like Tiberius said, you got the little lines going across, right? And you're like, well, you see, the Haitians, the voodoos, the people who practice voodoo, they actually were the ones who eat the cats. And so what we should do is we should ban, they're not saying this, but they're that's the logical conclusion of where this fact pattern goes. They're like, well, we should clearly ban Haitians for coming in here because they practice voodoo, and so that's just a logical conclusion. We shouldn't do that. We should ban the Haitians. It's the Muslim ban 2.0 all over again, and that's the issue I have here. Is I'm like, any way you cut this, it is clearly bigoted. It is clearly racist because you have, and the part that's racist, to be clear, if anybody's wondering why is this racist, because you're taking a picture. I said this. Anybody who's African American right now in that town of Springfield, Ohio, is probably frightened to no end because they're like, I look like
they're keeping their kids home and not going outside. A lot of them because they're terrified right now. There are bomb threats in their small city. Like,
yeah,
it's actually affecting people. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. And that's my whole thing is it's like, I've said this, and this could be, some people would say I'm being hyperbolic here. For anyone who doesn't know what a sundown town is, Texas had a shit ton of them back in the 60s and 70s. What it meant was when the sun went down, if you were African American, you did not go to that town because you were afraid of being caught. Okay, let's put it that way. And so I said, what MAGA doesn't realize that they're fucking doing, excuse my language, is that they are making anybody who is African American being afraid to go to that town. They are inadvertently creating Springfield, Ohio as a sundown town. We're the side, and look, if I was Kamala, I'd be sitting there with, all right, I'm gonna go on my last part here. I'll let everybody else jump in. This is my last thing I'm gonna say. If I were Kamala, I would sit there and have an image of the most like racist sundown town, which is probably here in Texas, and I would put on there saying, we're not going back. That would be like, boom. Okay, moment. Anyways, all right, y'all jump in. I'm heated about this topic. I've been wanting to talk about it for a while.
Dude, I'm really heated about this shit too, and I wanted to jump in because first off, there is something that Tiberius said that I want to disagree with, and I think it's it's not really related to this topic, but you were talking about like teachers being mandated to tell the parents certain things. And I do want to bring up that, like, as crazy as that may seem, that like a teacher can keep a secret from a parent, I do think that is one, like, what do you tell a kid when they are scared of their parents? You tell them, talk to your teacher or talk to your counselor, talk to an adult that you trust. And if you take that safety net away from them, where I can tell my teacher that I'm gay, but if I tell my parents, they'll beat the shit out of me for it. And that teacher is now mandated to turn around and tell the parents. Yeah, they may have to tell CPS too, but CPS is not fucking perfect. And that kid very well may get their ass beat in the meantime.
I will bite the bullet. I will it is irrational to do this whenever you have parents who are legally bound to their children on 7 ways to Sunday. Literally, that kid, if that kid doesn't show up to school, that parent can be arrested for truancy violations. You're not going to get any parents on board with this shit unless they're completely deranged. Like it's a terrible policy.
I'm not a parent.
Right.
But I am part of the queer community, and one of my best friends is a teacher who works at an all-Catholic girls' school, and he makes it very clear that his classroom is like very queer accepting, and he has a lot of students that come to him and him only.
Can I meet you in the middle, Wes? Can I meet you in the middle on this? I do
think that mandated reporting, I just say this before you're done. I do think that mandated reporting is necessary. I think there are some things that you have to go to the authorities for. You have to tell the parents about. I don't think that everything you tell a teacher just there's not some, student teacher confidentiality like there is with lawyers. But I don't think that you saying, hey, I want to go by they, them instead of she, her should be necessary to tell the parent.
I want to do this, and I want to reel it back a little bit to the Ohio incident here, because there is some connection here.
And I still had something to say on that.
Okay.
I just wanted to start with that.
Yeah. So, okay, I got you. So then what I'll say is this on a middle ground part is that I would say, if you want me to meet you in the middle, I would say maybe judge the situation on a case-by-case basis, right? If there is some kind of a documented history, for example, where the child is saying that they have some kind of abuse going on at home, Now, again, the teacher should be able to assess that situation, and maybe it may not even be the teacher, may could be a psychologist or something like that that could really assess that situation. Then it would be the case. But if the child, there's no indication, and the child, and they can, however they do their psychological thing, say, hey, look, I think that this is perfectly fine telling the parents for, then they ought to be able to tell the parents, even if that child says, hey, I don't want my parents to know. It should be really ultimately up to that particular teacher or counselor.
It should never be up to the teacher. It should never ever be up to the teacher.
I don't
like they're not qualified for this. I don't give a shit if they're now being mandated to have master's degrees. Like this is literally one of those things where it's like you can disagree with it all you want, and I legitimately understand that. I legitimately understand, like, hey, we don't want to put people in positions where they can get hurt. Like, that's just human empathy and decency. But there's also a level where it's like we do have to have the principles to understand, like, parents are the wards of their children, or, well, children are the wards of their parents. And what it really comes down to is that if CPS isn't trusted enough to like actually deal with this, then we have a CPS problem, because we have two rules about this kind of shit. It is law. It is child abuse, and two, a hate crime. Like, if CPS can't deal with child abuse and hate crimes, what the fuck is it for? Like,
I'll rescind my initial position. I'll rescind my initial position, because I think Tiberius just mentioned a really good point. Actually, in real time, you'll see me kind of change my position a little bit. I think Tiberius actually made a really good point here with CPS. If there is something to the extent, like you were saying, Wes, where they are being abused or something like that, to that degree that they are afraid to tell the parent, then that should be a situation in which CPS gets involved. Not so much at that point. That should be completely out of the school's hands. But if it isn't something that CPS should be involved with, then at that point, they should be able to tell the parents.
I agree. Okay, so like, let me just propose a couple situations, and I know this gets like very nuanced, and like there's a lot of ins and outs on like what you should and shouldn't. But like, if you talk to a counselor because your father's brother, your uncle, is sexually abusing you, then the counselor should go to CPS. I 100% believe that. But if you tell your counselor that your father is abusing you because you have no other reliable, trustworthy adults in your life that you feel you can tell this to, then I believe, yes, get CPS involved immediately, but you don't have to turn around and tell the parents that, hey, your son said today that you abuse him. Like, no, that should not involve the CPS.
Okay, Wes, let's do this because we're getting a little bit off topic. I want to do this.
We're getting way off topic.
Yes. So what was your other part? Let's do this. Let's get back to the cats and the dogs. Okay, it's okay.
No, it's fine. I've had a lot of conversations about that, and I feel very strongly about it.
100%.
Getting back to the immigrants, cats, dogs thing. I just had one quick point that I wanted to make, and then I'm going to go real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
But I just wanted to make sure that everybody who is watching this realizes that the very trope of immigrants eating animals that is foreign to us is xenophobic by nature and racist. Like, there is, like, I guess if you're looking at cultures throughout the world, everybody eats weird shit. Like in Asia, they eat bugs that they deep fry on sticks. And if you keep bugs as a pet, that may affect some part of you internally. And that's what they try and do when they weaponize this like eating cats and dogs shit, is like they're trying to make you feel something in your heart that makes you hate these people. Because to Americans, it is so disgusting and disturbing to eat cats or dogs. In parts of the world, that shit is fucking normal as hell. And it's not something that would ever be looked down upon. But like, I feel like it's being weaponized because
100%.
I mean, how many times have racists used the the Chinese restaurant uses cats for food trope? Like that's existed for decades. And that actually, I don't believe, I could be wrong about this, but I don't believe that has any basis in Chinese culture. Like there are some cultures that eat like cats or dogs, but I don't believe that's true of Chinese. I believe that's just like a racist trope that started and obviously still hasn't finished. But while we're talking about this, I just feel like everything should be grounded in that knowing that there is a special type of xenophobia that comes with talking about eating our beloved, because it's understandably one of the worst things that we as humans and Americans can imagine. Just look over at my cat and I'm just like, I can't imagine somebody eating Penny. And it's like,
well,
it's not the same for so many people.
Yeah, I mean, but look, go ahead, Ty. What were we gonna say?
No, go ahead. I got the spicy take here.
All right. Yeah. So if you look at I'll let you say the spicy take. Let's do the spicy take. Let's do that. Let's see.
All right. So there's a level where I will even defend the crazy asses and the racists and the shit, because here's where it comes down to it. There is a legitimate concern within any given society that like the people who want to be a part of your society may be nefarious actors. A great example of this is that one of the reasons why no one should ever be for like free movement and exchange of peoples across borders is literally Israel-Palestine. Like all of a sudden a bunch of Jews showed up. They didn't agree on like the people who were already living there, how the place was supposed to be run. And now we've had basically an 8 decades long civil war going on. Like this is one of those things where I will defend the right in having a skepticism of people who are coming in. Do these people want to participate? Do they want to play by our rules? Do they want to integrate? All that shit. And there's some levels where the answer is, no. Like there's a little bit of, we're going to celebrate the Day of the Dead. We're going to, Cinco de Mayo, like shit like this. But is it as severe as like we're going to eat dogs and cats? No. Do these people make terrible Americans? No, not really. In fact, they make some of the best Americans, right? So there's just points where it's like, I can take a legitimate argument. I can steel man it to hell and say, hey, look, we need to be careful about what we're doing. But also on the other side of it, it's like, all right, even when I steel man you, you're fucking off the rails and you need to chill. So like, I will take where Wes is just like, hey, these folks are playing on some very base and primal fears that are disgusting for people. And like, this needs to kind of stop because we're literally making each other hate one another for reasons that we fucking shouldn't. But there's also levels where it's like at least a level of skepticism where it's like, hey, these people actually believe in things that we don't and eat shit that we don't and all this other stuff. Yeah, 100% legitimate criticism. Moving on.
And I hear that they are legitimately a lot of times bad drivers.
Well, okay. Hey, look,
I don't care about that though. Like, but look, but just like to kind of agree with you in a sense, like there are some things to be concerned about, and like I do hear that a lot of times they do suck at driving because it's new to them. Okay, I don't give a shit. Like I give a shit about like the obviously untrue things that are being said.
Damn, I'm probably gonna. I was about to say I'm probably gonna go further left than west. I can't believe I'm about to say I'm further left than west, but I'm about to say it. I even think that the whole idea of like bad driver shit is the most insane thing. Like I think to me when I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, how many times in that? I would love to know the statistics. And by the way, I did try to look this up. What race has the most accidents in that town? I'd be almost willing to bet it's probably white people. Okay. Let's just be real here. Okay. I'm not trying to do the whole like white people or bad thing, but what I think is so interesting to me is like this idea. When you look at, I looked this up too, by the way, Haitians are, by the way, immigrants and even undocumented immigrants in Ohio can receive driver's licenses. Surprise, surprise. Also found out, by the way, that they have to take the exact same driver safety course. So now what that tells me then is, guess what? The playing field is the same. They receive the same education. They receive the same kind of testing. All that is the same, which means now you got some bad drivers on the road. Doesn't mean, look, if we had good drivers, we wouldn't have accidents. So I don't even think it's a cultural issue. I don't know how you can really fix that. I think that's just you have some bad drivers sometimes. Okay. I don't think it's an issue.
Are we talking about in general or just in Springfield? Because there's a hell of a difference in that conversation, right?
Well, and so in Ohio, are you talking about like the being allowed to have driver's licenses, or what are you talking about?
Well, it's just like if we're talking about Springfield, Ohio, like I guarantee you, this is a place that's 90% white in June when Jesus and the gang are here to do the migrant work. Like, I mean, because I come from a community like of this kind of size and scale. I'm just in Indiana, right? Where it's literally, it's a sea of white people. So like, there's levels where literally, if there's any kind of, people of color, they're not even 10% of the population, and that's with literally everybody who came from out of town into town to help do some shit, right? Most of these places in the winter are 95+% white. They have no characterization to deal with like other races. Like it's just literally you have the token like black people or Hispanic people in the city. And most of them just kind of keep their heads down and shut up. And half the time you even find that they're as red-blooded conservative, pro-Trump as the next guy. It's just wild to me because it's like, there's a lot of times where I see people from like very urban areas or even very suburban areas where they don't really have a lot of like racial or cultural mixing at all. And they just kind of throw everybody down as just like, oh, these people are a bunch of like crazy ass racists. And it's like, are they insensitive to race issues? Yes, because they don't deal with it. On the other side of it, it's like, of course they're going to be the majority of the bad drivers because it's 90% white. It's just like, can we have a conversation that actually doesn't make my blood want to boil or my brain slip out of my nose?
Hey, welcome to election season, okay, Ty? Every single day.
I am here to raise the average IQ of the conversation in American politics. God damn it, I'm over it.
Then I will be the fact checker here, okay? So let me provide a little bit more context to this. So my MAGA friends out there, okay, which I don't have any more MAGA friends because they can all go. Never mind. So here's the thing. Let me just explain this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Haitian immigration thing started way back. I believe it was 2010 or 2014. I forgot when that earthquake hit Haiti. What ended up happening is Obama put in place a temporary protection status for Haitian immigrants due to the earthquake. Then what happened is in 2016, Trump then tried to end that temporary protection status, but was struck down by the courts. And so in 2019, he was forced to extend the temporary protection status. Nobody talks about this. Trump, whether he was forced or not, doesn't matter. He put in place extended temporary protection status for these migrants. Now, we get over here to Obama and Kamala. They then decided to extend that again. So when we talk about these migrants, this is something that has taken place over the course of almost 14 years. And so when you see numbers like 20,000 people migrating here in a short amount of time, what they're trying to do, and now I can't see anything. I don't know where they're getting this number from. I have seen claims that they're being bussed in. I still haven't seen any evidence of that. And so what's interesting to me is that this has been going on for 14 years. How many have actually come over here and over time? And then they talk about crime. Move on that one there. Yes, some crime has gone up, but it's hard to separate where that crime is coming from. Why do I say that? Because guess what? There has been a spike in crime all throughout the United States. All throughout the United States, it's gone up. So it's all around the same time period. And furthermore, the last thing I'll say is this. If you look at the population, as Tiberius was kind of hinting at with Springfield, the Haitian population, if you look at foreign-born population, there is only 8% of the 14% African-American community that is actually born in Haiti. So keep that in mind. 8% of the 14% of the Springfield population, African-American population, is foreign-born in Haiti. And that was as of 2022 because the data was not there for 2023 or 2024. I will admit that. But I digress. The point is, 8% of the 14% population was born in Haiti.
Just gonna tack two things on there. Is that one? I've seen way too many tweets talking about how these are illegal immigrants or undocumented citizens when we are talking about Haitians, because I agreed, if you are talking about Haitians specifically, then there is an exception for Haitians. And those aren't illegal immigrants. Those are people who are using a specific act that was enabled because of the disaster they faced.
And you know, I won't go on a tangent.
undocumented citizens make me want to die laughing. I'm sorry. If
See,
that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what it is.
No,
You're a citizen that
immigrants.
Yeah.
No,
I was gonna say, if you're a citizen, boy, I tell you, you've got a file somewhere because that government's coming after you.
That was just a misspeak on my part. I was wondering why you were laughing.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
It is funny now that I hear it back.
I'll tell you what, man. It's also very interesting to me on that note that I was mentioning earlier about how many years have passed. This is the problem I have with any of this discourse. Take it outside of Springfield, Ohio, and when we talk about illegal immigration and how there was a crime that was committed against a U.S. citizen from an undocumented citizen. I found one crime, by the way, guys. I forgot which this. I can't tell you off the top of my head. All you can go is off of my word. Where the undocumented immigrant ended up getting deported like 10, 15 times, of which some of those were under Trump. And so for me, it's like when I hear this argument made that, oh, well, this happened because of Kamala's border policies. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Do we have any evidence to suggest that this person even came over here under Kamala? If not, then how is this Kamala's fault? How is this Biden's fault? How? So that's the whole, yeah.
It's Willie Horton from 1988 again. I feel like Tiberius probably knows what I'm talking about. There was attack ads that were ran by George H.W. against his opponent Dukakis about Willie Horton, which was a criminal that got out on release, and like he's a black dude who like raped and killed a woman. He had like life without
Keep in mind
parole.
we're on YouTube, so I have no idea what they're I don't think I'm
They don't like the R word for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
Sexually assaulted and killed a woman. And,
whatever works. Just don't mention it again because it's gonna keep mentioning it. Go ahead. Just continue the story. Sorry.
Got it. And Bush ran attack ads against Dukakis saying like, oh, he let this man out because they had like weekend release programs or something like that. And it just, that all feels the same to me. It just feels like Willie Horton attack ads all over. Granted, that I say it feels like, and I wasn't even alive back then, but it really feels like pretty much the same thing where it's just like, oh, this person failed you. They're soft on crime. And look what this, this one person did. And it's like, okay, yeah, this one person fell through the fucking cracks. Like, this isn't indicative of any type of spree or wave of crime or anything like that. It's indicative of one person that we should have caught or we should have handled better, and we didn't. But then it turns into a racist attack, basically, because it's easy bait, pretty much.
Yeah, and I want to mention, Tiberius, feel free to jump in if you want to jump into this this lovely conversation of the Haitian stuff. I want to mention this too. Cancel, if he's still in chat, provided this, and this is something that has really gotten to me, is with JD Vance. JD Vance is like not backing down, and it's almost like Donald Trump Don Jr.-esque, where he's like trying to be a meme lord and he's just doubling down. Like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. And
he's so bad at it.
Well, his evidence, I won't read the entire tweet. I don't have it, and I don't have all my scenes set up, so you're gonna have to bear with me as I read this last paragraph. Okay, this is from a tweet that was done this morning, actually at 8:51 a.m. Okay, so if you're looking for JD Vance, 8:51 a.m. reply to this Zaid Jilani person. Okay, anyways, his last paragraph in this rant goes, and again, a longer conversation, but I don't know why your automatic assumption is that the only reason people are complaining about this is that they have bad motivations. And I cannot stand the condescension directed at all of these people who, on the record, are giving very specific testimonials about how their lives are made worse. On the record for who? And second, why are you doing this, JD? You're the vice president. This is why Tim Walz wins. I love Tim Walz. I am Republican for Harris, okay? I'm a white dude for Harris. By the way, I almost tried to interview a dude that was like on the street of Austin one time. for White Dudes for Harris. It turns out he was trolling Nancy Pelosi, so I'm glad I didn't interview him. But anyways, point of what I was saying was, it's like, I expect more. I expect more out of my vice presidential candidate. Be like, hey guys, look, it's just word of mouth. Let's try to get all the facts before we just do that. Okay. And that's what's happening. They're not actually like doing that. They're just like, hey, this person said it. Why would they lie? I don't know. Maybe because it's an election season. And so everybody wants to say something to try to make their candidate look good. You know, it's just insane to me. So I want to take this moment, by the way, guys. There is going to be open call-ins. If we have somebody come in, we're going to continue this conversation, but now is the time to jump into the Discord and jump into the waiting room. We will bring you guys in for those conversations. But anyways, going back to the topic of the Haitian immigrants, do y'all have anything else y'all want to say on this topic of the Haitian immigrants thing?
Let's never talk about it again.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to make this clear to anybody who jumps into my Discord now or after by watching this VOD. If you come, I'm not even going to mention it because then I'm going to get a whole bunch of trolls in here. So if you want to find out what the juicy content is, go to my Discord, go to the politics channel, you'll find it out. Anyways, so let's go on to the next topic real quick while we're waiting for people to kind of jump in. If they decide to jump in, let's go ahead and talk about Wes's topic about Kamala Harris going further right. I'm curious about why you believe this, Wes. I think that she has gone more right on a lot of topics. I agree with you on that, but there are definitely some topics where she is left-wing on. For example, we have the assault weapons ban. There is some rumor mills of potentially free college. Now that's not really solidified, but that
I'd
is
love to
some.
hear her say that.
Well, she had run on it previously, but I'm just saying
everything else she ran on previously in her 2020 primary, she's back. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So point is, what I'm saying is that she has been known to be left. So I'm curious your position on how she has moved. How, I guess, because I agree with you that she's moved further right, but it seems like your position is that she's moved almost to the right in a lot of ways. So I'm curious your stance on that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I as a leftist, I've never really seen that much dramatic difference between the two parties. I always love the quote, the America is also a one-party system, but in typical American extravagance, they have two of them. Because the two parties really, when it comes down to the average person's life, it hardly matters. Like, I can tell you for a fact that my life did not change after Trump. Now, I am a straight presenting white male presenting person. I'm not straight or male, but I can pass as a straight white male. So like my life did not change under Trump.
Tiberius.
My life Tiberius pointed out, what is
I totally get the not straight part, the not male part. I'm gonna need to be sold on a little bit, but go on.
I'm non-binary. I
Okay.
don't consider myself a dude. But yeah, like my life did not ostensibly change in those 4 years. I was not better off between either of them, and for a long time, I've seen both parties as pretty much the same. So like, I don't think that Kamala has really gone like to the right so much as she's capitulated to the more centrist and center right ideas. Things like her change on her, and I do, in a sense, I referenced the 2020 primaries when she ran to the left of Biden as the more progressive candidate. So I do kind of use that as like the benchmark of when Kamala was actually progressive. But since then, she's changed her mind on fracking. She's changed her mind on Medicare for all. What were the other things? She's gone to the right on Israel. She's like everything is moving more to the right and capitulating to the center right. And I think that's just like standard ratchet effect. Like,
Yeah.
if people who are on the left get pulled to the right because the right does not do the same things that we do. Oh, and she said that she would put like a Republican in her cabinet, which like it's kind of capitulating to the right. To me, it's more just like an evidence of not wielding power. Like, when you are elected, you are given power for a reason, and we expect you to wield it to get things done, because a vote is transactional. It is not just, it should not be expected of me. I should expect something of you.
Let me ask you this, Wes. What is the difference to you between appealing to the right and moving to the right? Like, because I feel, oh, did we lose Wes?
They might have.
Oh no. It's the damn commies. They got him. They got Wes. Here's the thing. I'll say this while Wes is trying to get his camera back up and running. I don't know exactly what happened to him. Lovely image of Wes, by the way. So I want to mention this. I feel like there is a difference between appealing to the right and moving to the right. I think a lot of her issues, are not necessarily her moving to the right, but it's her trying to appeal to the right. I think that the issues that you brought up, Wes, I know in the chat you mentioned Israel, Medicare for all, fracking, immigration, things of those natures. You could even bring up potentially the small business loans or the startup business tax credits. I think that is more like not her moving to the right as it just appealing. She knows she cannot, for example, she went and said she's looking for a two-state solution. With the Israel and Palestine issue, she never said that she says she stands with Israel, but she also stands with Palestine. And to me, that's still a pretty left position. It's not far left, but I think it's, oh, there we go. Wes, you're back. I see you, buddy. Can you hear us?
Yes, my internet took a shit, but amazingly, I still heard what you were saying.
Oh, good.
Almost the entire time I was gone.
Good. So here's the thing: is like the last thing I'll say is the Israel-Palestine thing is a good example of where I think this is her appealing to the more right side, but they're more, I would say, moving further to the right, more to the libs, not moving further right, trying to appeal to the moderate Republicans. And I think this is not even her moving; this is just appealing. So what do you think is the difference between appealing and just moving? Because I see there's a difference. I think when you move, her entire stance and her policies are actually moving, whereas she's just trying to appeal to get that vote. And then maybe when something gets passed in Congress, she then kind of takes a harder stance on it. And that is where I think we could see whether or not she moves or not.
Okay, so my take on this, Tiberius, do you have anything to say? We've been going back and forth for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot here because this isn't really an issue for me. I'm center right, so if anything, if she's guilty of what you're accusing her of, she's trying to cater to people who vote like I do.
Right.
There's certain things I've seen that I don't know if it's because the primary was over and she started moving more to the center, as we always see what happens after primaries anyway. But there are a couple of things that I've seen from her that, like, at least in behavior, where it's like, hey, I kind of like that. I liked whenever the pro-Palestine folks started talking during one of her rallies, she's like, keep doing that, and that's how you get Donald Trump to win. She's dead right. She's fucking dead right on that shit. Like, that's one of those things that, like, being pro-Palestine is incredibly unpopular in the United States, and for good reason. There's also other levels where she actually just tries to conduct herself in a level where it's just like, hey, I'm not crazy. I'm an AG from California. California isn't as crazy as the right makes it out to be. And which is true. Like, have you ever met an Orange County Republican? We got a Jeb Tan in here somewhere around here. The long story short here is there's things that are pretty good overtures to people like me. It's just, is it enough? And for a lot of people, the answer is yes. I already know a lot of center righties that are just not showing up, or they're gonna, bite their tongue and vote for Kamala. For me, I was 100% on board with Biden because I thought he earned it. The problem with Harris is that I see a wet paper bag that we're putting up in office, and I don't really care for it. I really don't. So I'm staying home unless something drastically changes. But I think she's actually making inroads on some moderates and undecideds, and if that's part of her game plan, then you got to win to govern. So,
and I can agree with that. I mean, like, the fact that we're sitting here and DH is more pro Kamala than he is pro Trump, I think is evidence to the fact that whatever she's doing to appeal to the right is working. but I don't agree with it being. I don't necessarily think it's the best move. I don't think it's the most popular move, and I think it's what Democrats always do. Is like you said, after the primaries, they always just drift towards the center, and if anything, drift further right than what they ran on in the primaries. And I think Democrats and the Democratic establishment tend to forget that people actually like progressives. Like, people were very excited for AOC. People were very excited for John Fetterman. When people actually see progressive candidates, they get excited about them. And both of those people had massive support, but then they got elected and they turned out to be milquetoast and completely like middle of the line Dems. And now they're just meh. But again, I'm in my own echo chamber.
That's what I was gonna say. I think for me, I think we're in a unique time where Donald Trump is so disliked by the right, or moderate right at least, that Kamala, out of all the Democrats we could possibly have, if we had Bernie Sanders on the ticket, I don't think, because of his further left stance, I don't think he would do enough to be able to draw in those moderate Republicans. I think, and I've said this time and time again, if there is any time for a Republican to vote for a Democrat, now is the time. And I'm not saying that in the sense of going, oh, Trump is the worst person. No, I'm saying that because she is a lot more easier on those policies. And if you believe as a Republican that she's not going to do what she says when she gets in office, that's fine then. That means that all of the progressive shit that you think she is, that means that when she gets in office, she's not going to do it. And so I think that there's a lot to go around when you look at Kamala, where it's like, when you look at her policies, I kind of like them. It does appeal to me when I look at like child tax credits. I think that's okay. I kind of like that. When I see the startup business tax rates, I think those are pretty cool. You know, and so those are stuff that really appeal to me. Oh, the one that I really like that's most recent, this is a new policy of hers, but I dig it. Ty, you might dig this one. I don't know if you heard, but she wants to take away the requirement for for degrees for apprenticeships, and I believe are degrees for apprenticeships, and she also wants to get rid of degrees for federal workers. That like the requirement for those degrees. So
for federal workers, that makes some sense. For apprenticeships, the entire point is that you don't have a degree.
Sure,
so that sounds like she's talking out of her ass.
I'd have to look at that. I'd have to look at the exact one about the apprenticeship part, but I believe it might have been degrees. Either way, she wants to, I know for certain, get rid of the degrees at the federal level, and I'm all cool. I'm cool with that. Like, you know, those from the right, they're the anti-degree crowd, right? So that's why for me, I think that appeals to me a lot. And then you also, it's one of those things where, like, if you're struggling as a Republican to vote for Kamala Harris, it's like the MAGA crowd is pushing you out of the Republican Party with their crazy ass ideas.
Just say you're talking to me, goddammit. Like, it'll make it a little easier.
If it fits, it fits. If the shoe fits, wear it. If the Republicans are kind of like getting on your nerves and kind of pushing you more to the center, Kamala's that warming mother, that Tim Walz, the Coach Walz, is like, hey, buddy, come on in. I got the nice pizza cooking over there. Now, listen, I do want people to know on Twitter, I love fucking pissing off the MAGA, okay? Listen, I'm not afraid to sit there and say I might use some certain verbiage. Coach Walz, okay, that one's a good one. I love that one because it fucking freaks them the fuck out, okay? You put Coach Walz and MAGA goes nuts, okay? They go nuts. They lose it. It's amazing. So it's the biggest response ever. So guys, it's amazing. I love it. But anyways, when you look at that though, MAGA goes nuts. They push you. They purity test you. They say, you're not Republican. You're a socialist. You're a liberal. Me. And I go, okay, well, let me look at this liberal ideology that's going on. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Okay. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything Kamala does is a great thing. I think the assault weapons ban is absolutely bullcrap. I don't like it. The unrealized capital gains tax has a lot to be desired there. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Interrupt me, please. I'm on a rant.
Yeah, I'll interrupt the rant for a second here. So, like, I've been on both sides of this. I used to be a Bernie bro, believe it or not. I used to be like in the leftist camp, And part of it is I got a little older, and there's levels where some of the stuff just doesn't really appeal to me in some other ways. But there was also 6 years of shut up, Ty. You're straight and white, and you're a dude. Fuck off. And for the better part of 2016 to 2022, that was the general rhetoric I got from the Democrats. I wasn't welcome there. I'm a fucking terrible person. Get fucked. Whatever. Fine. I'm cool with that. Like, you guys pushed me out, and there was a lot of reasons that, you know, kind of anteed up into me wanting to go the right anyway. The problem is the right now does the same thing too, right? So it's just like, I'm too left, you know, I'm actually a secret Democrat. I can't be a Republican. Okay, fine. Fuck all of you then. I'm done. It's like if you guys literally want to embrace the politics of fuck off, that's cool. Just don't be surprised whenever I eventually get to the voting booth and I decide not to punch anything. And that's where I'm at. It's like Democrats are not doing a very good job of making me feel like I want to vote for them. They're a lot better than they used to be because they're not shutting the fuck up. Or, I mean, they shut it up, but there's also levels where it's like, I don't know. This is my honest take. I don't know who the Democrats are supposed to be the party for because they're competing for unions at the same time they are now having record-breaking numbers of like corporate donations. They're now the corporate party and the union party. Who do you actually care about? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait until the chips fall down. Republicans used to be the party of like big business in Wall Street and the DOD, which I like the DOD, but now it's the party of evangelicals, which I don't mind religion, but holy crap, guys, like I don't believe that the Bible should run the country. So they've done a really good job of pushing me out of the country or out of their party as well. So it's one of those deals where it's like, I'll talk to the people who are in the know, who actually make decisions, but I can't do this. Like, I'm on your team when I'm clearly not on anybody's team at this point.
Yeah. And I feel like the thing about it is people have asked me, they're like, well, Doghouse, what policies of Kamala Harris do you support? And I list them off. And someone today replied, oh, well, Trump has some of these. Well, here's the problem with Trump. And I'd be curious y'all's guys' opinion on this one. It'd be great if he stuck to those policies, but then when he's on the campaign trail, those policies tend to go a little bit wayward. For example, him mentioning something about deporting migrants, people who are here legally, he wants to deport. Give me y'all's opinions, bro.
Uh-oh. He just bounced out, I guess. All right. I don't see any consistency out of most elected officials. Just to carry on for Doghouse for a second. I don't see consistency between elected officials. One of the biggest things I had against Biden in his 2020 run is that he was flip-floppy. He would literally be in Philadelphia saying, hey, I'm against fracking. I don't want to frack. But then he'd be in Pittsburgh on the other side of the state, which does the fracking. And he's like, yeah, I'm pro fracking. Let's go. He was pro, what was it? He was pro one of the major pipelines. And the union voters who were going to build the pipeline from Keystone? Pennsylvania were like, I don't think it was actually Keystone. It was a different one. But the long and short was that like he actually said, I'm going to do this. People voted for him. And like, they were vividly pissed. It was one of the few times where Republicans have actually made strong inroads into union votes is because like we constantly see where the Democrats are having a bit of an identity crisis. And this should be the Republicans being able to walk away with elections. And if it wasn't for the fact they're batshit, they would be. Because Democrats are now trying to cater to Greens, unions, and big business all at the same time. You can't do that. You literally can't do that. And I've said it before, and I know a lot of people cringe when I say this or freak the fuck out and say there's no way. Republicans, if they had someone sane, are going to take the union vote, and they're going to steal it. And it will, like, if there's even half a sensibility where you get whoever replaces Donald Trump down the road, Democrats will never have the union vote ever again. Because it's so easy for them to take now.
I'm very passionate about labor and the union vote. And I do feel a certain way about this because a lot of people seem to be very upset that I'm going to get my union leaders messed up. It's not Sean Fain, it was Sean O'Brien. They're both named Sean, and it always messes me up. I think it was Sean O'Brien that was allowed to speak at the DNC or the RNC, but then was not invited to speak at the DNC. And I know like a lot of people on the left got like pissed at that, and they were like, why the fuck are the Republicans doing more for the unions than the Democrats? And again, I don't like labels, but at this point, I am, among other things, a socialist. I believe in the power of the workers. I think it's ridiculous to take that stance, and I don't think that, like, I think that unions should be a completely bipartisan issue. There are very few workplaces that you can actually make to unionize without having bipartisan support. It's not a political thing. If your workplace feels that they need better working conditions or less wage theft or better hours or whatever it is that, you know, your union might want to be fighting for in your workplace, I I kind of despise the fact that that's become a partisan issue, because it's not. Like, if I went into a warehouse right now and I wanted to unionize them, they are going to be typically the same makeup of whatever part of the country I'm in. So if that part of the country is, you know, 50-50 Democrats and Republicans, I need Republicans on my side. And I don't think that labor issues should be a partisan issue. I agree with whichever Sean it was speaking at the RNC. I think that's a good thing, and that labor should get out in front of whoever they can. And at this point, especially after like Biden shutting down the rail workers union strike, I find it very hard to believe that either party is actually pro-union at this point. Like, they both hate labor union. And you know, Biden was supposed to be the most pro-union president ever, and he literally shut down a fucking rail workers strike. So one of the least pro-union presidents ever. We just don't have any spine anymore, so nobody pulls out any guns. Sorry, YouTube.
Pink. What is it? Pinkertons? Is that what it was? The Pinkertons?
No, I'm reminiscing on the Haymarket riots of 1886.
Oh, the Haymarket. Okay.
And just thinking about when times were good for unions.
Well, look, let me tell you. Let me tell you this about these topics. I think this is one thing, and we'll start winding it down here in a minute, guys. Again, if you want to jump in Discord, feel free to, and jump in the waiting room, and we'll do open call-in shortly. One of the things that I think is super, super fascinating to me is that I think that the Republicans overplayed their hand on Roe v. Wade. I don't think that they were prepared for the election season that has come, where women voters, there are several states, Republican states, that have abortion on the ballot. And I think that that was the sleeping beast that Republicans were not prepared for. They celebrated kicking it back down to the states, but they didn't anticipate that kicking it back down to the states would draw up all of those women voters who were like, oh, hell yeah. And now I just want to mention this one last thing. Okay. Talking about, you know, bad blood between the candidates. Okay. One candidate had the support of a major pop star. Okay. Kamala Harris got the Swiftie vote. Okay. She got the Swifties, guys.
Oh, God.
The shake it up. You know, that little thing. By the way, I embarrassingly.
You're such a boomer. God damn it.
This is the most lib boomer shit you've ever said.
Look, no, what's even worse, lib boomer shit, is I did a TikTok with a Taylor Swift song in it, but I promise you, I swear, I let everybody know right now, I did not do any kind of TikTok dancing. Okay, I did a little bit of dancing, but it was like kind of like a shimmy.
Oh my God!
No, look,
you sold out. He's a lib cuck now. All right, all right.
How do I unfriend someone on Discord?
You right click and then you hit unfriend.
You hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and then you go to Twitter and you follow me there as well. And then you like the tweet specifically where I was celebrating that Taylor Swift. Also, just want to remind people, okay, by virtue of, if we're taking this logic and Taylor Swift supports Kamala Harris, then that also means that Travis Kelce probably supports Kamala Harris, which means, guess what? Now she's got the fucking football vote, baby. Let's go Sunday night politics, baby. All right. Anyways, I'm done with my little boomer rant.
Wait, I had so much to say before you mentioned Taylor Swift, and then like
Your brain went out of your nose.
vibration behind my right eye that just started like shaking uncontrollably.
You were talking about the Haymarket riots and shit.
Yeah, and then you were saying
Taylor
I
Swift
had
was
something to
awesome. I said Taylor Swift is
No.
awesome. The abortion vote.
It hurts. It really
yes.
hurts.
Okay, so yes. So what I was going to say on this is that I believe I'm actually going to say that for once the Democrats played something kind of smart, in that they have been able to multiple times with a supermajority under Obama, and the trifecta under multiple Democratic presidents, or by executive action at any time they wanted, they could have codified, Roe v. Wade. And every one of them runs on codifying Roe v. Wade. That is always a big political turnout. And in the same sense that, like I was saying before, how there's always going to be a migrant caravan right before the election every 4 years, because there's always going to be someone stoking the anti-immigration vote right before the election and like making that an issue. The same thing happens with abortion. And I think you're seeing the dog that caught the car right now. And that dog ran headfirst into that fucking bumper and knocked itself out, because now that they've abolished Roe v. Wade, they're like, oh, wait, I never thought about what would happen when I actually caught the car. I've just been a dog chasing a car for a while. But Democrats know that you need to be able to dangle that in front of people and say, hey, we're going to codify it this time. We're going to codify. You want to vote for Democrats? We're going to codify Roe v. Wade. And like they've been able to do that for decades. And the right wing could do that for decades as well. They've been saying, we're going to abolish Roe v. Wade. We're going to send it back to the states for decades. And now all of a sudden, they don't have that. They only have the immigration thing. And well, and obviously there's other things. There's always
of course.
They're going to
But Ty, I want to get you in here. I want to know. Do you think? No, look. Listen. I'm not going to ask you. I'm only going to ask you a simple question. Okay, it's very simple.
TikTok's answer wants to know my opinion. Here we go.
The TikTok star, absolutely. Okay, look. I didn't ask to be TikTok famous. I'm not really TikTok famous. I got like 1,000 followers. Okay, no big deal. It only took about 3-4 weeks.
Just shut up and go. What's up?
So, do you think that the abortion issue is going to be a big game changer for the election, unlike previous election seasons?
Nope.
You think it's going to have no effect?
It already had an effect. We saw that in 2022. It's probably the reason why the Democrats swelled. Like, so I called this. I called this before. Like, Republicans were going to find out that they were not on the winning side of the abortion issue. And it was consistently because of the judges that they were winning. Now, part of that is politics and whatever, and this is one of those conversations that I don't like to dig in too much because there's people just within my own family who get upset about this conversation, but I'll put it in this regard. I think there's definitely a conversation to be had between the left and the right about like the appropriate boundaries of abortion. And the problem is we cannot get either of the major candidates to say this, like even my own side goes too far. Trump would not disown on the debate stage that he would stop a national abortion ban. Kamala would not own any kind of thing where it's just like, hey, at a certain point, we'll write it on the books to say it, because they just keep sticking to their guns. Kamala's like, hey, this kind of thing never happens. In which case, if it never happens, fucking say that you're in favor of shutting it down so you don't have to worry about it ever again. Like unironically, it's so fucking dumb.
And
so, like,
I just want to interject real quick with, I'm sorry, but like what I was saying earlier, like that was an easy dunk for her, where she could have said that's less than like 1% of 1%, and had an easy dunk there, but she didn't. Go ahead.
So my issue here is, will it make an effect? Yes, in the same way that 2022 was an effect. So like I've already kind of counted that in the political calculus. I'll be real, guys. If you want me to go down my map and tell you like where I think we're at, I just went over my stuff earlier last night, and I'm looking at about an 80% chance of Kamala win. Now, granted, I'm calling states that are battleground states ahead of time in that forecast, but I can do electioneering. I've done it with the people who are in the know, and I think there's a reason why Trump's acting a little kind of extra kooky lately. I think his own internal polls are indicating he is got an uphill road to climb here. And I'll be real. If you want to know if the abortion has like an outsized effect, while it's probably mobilized 2% of women in a way that they weren't before, 2% of women in Pennsylvania, 2% of women
Makes
in
a big
Georgia,
difference.
2%. It does. It really does. This is one of those issues that it used to be number 9 on the list, right? It was literally just a bunch of right wingers who were super pissed off about it voted for it. But now we're seeing it's like in the 2022 election it was number 2. In the 2023 election, at least the preliminary outline polls, and this is the only polls I actually look to, is how much people care about the issues. That one at least indicates that it's at least number 3.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals where there's going to be a lot of women, and we're talking about women largely 50 and younger, but it's going to be predominantly with women 35 and younger who are more mobilized, who are going to show up. And I'll say this for the record. That majority of the college vote turnout is young women because they're the ones likely to get pregnant and they're scared shitless. So I do think it'll have an effect. I do have a thing in effect that if Trump loses by a hair, if that's what happens, it will probably be abortion that kills him. So it's one of those deals where in the grand scheme of things, is it absolutely massive and huge? I wouldn't go that far. I think there's other shit on the docket that people are caring about. But for a key voter bloc who has votes, who will show up to vote, who this issue matters with, yeah, they're going to show up. And they already have.
I think the other thing too, Ty, and I want to get your opinion because you're a big pollster guy. I want to know why.
No, I'm not. Don't ever call me a pollster guy. I don't like the polls. I never have liked the polls.
Sorry.
Not the Polish. I'm talking about the actual like polls.
I meant more like the electoral
Tell me how
landscape.
you feel about Nate Silver.
I fucking despise Nate Silver. That like after the 2020 election, dude, I don't know how that motherfucker would get a job counting grocery cartons, let alone any national elections. Like who still listens to this motherfucker?
Did you see where like he went? All the right wingers like, look at it's going down. All of a sudden, he's starting to make a correction now. It's starting to go back up because it's so clearly obvious how biased that freaking poll was. It was like a 30% chance that Kamala was going to win. I'm like, in what measure does that make any freaking sense? Like,
I'll put it this way. Like, let's be real. Most likely is that if you just take everything and you throw it at the wall, your candidate's got a 50-50 shot. Yeah. I can say that, with the hardline numbers, the electioneering, like what I'm seeing, and I can go down the whole like rabbit hole of like who I think matters where. I can say, blacks in Georgia, black turnout's going to be up because of Kamala. They're going to have a lot better time getting Georgia than what they did under Biden, and they're actually going to put up a lot more of a fight in North Carolina, which is one of the reasons why it's now saying it's a swing state again. Like it literally will be the black vote. I can also say that like one of the big reasons that I think Arizona and Georgia are probably going to lean blue, or I would say over 80% chance they're going to vote Democrat this year, is because they're the fastest growing metro areas in the country. Atlanta and Phoenix are blowing up, and a lot of these people are either California Democrats for Arizona, or they're actually, ironically enough, these are Democrats moving into Georgia that are coming from northern states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and New York and whatnot, that are offsetting those votes. So we're seeing bluer votes in the South because, snowbirds and whatnot are moving down. At the same time, the mid wall or the blue wall is getting redder because those older folks are leaving and not voting Democrat, or Democrats are actually making gains. I think people are underestimating that JD Vance is popular in the Midwest. Not like hugely successfully popular, but enough where they're like, hey, that guy is actually like me. I like him.
You think?
Yeah, it's pretty common, actually.
I live in Ohio, and I've not met a single person who thinks that he's a real human being.
That's wild to me. Like
nobody I've ever
It's
talked
crazy.
to.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like he's not super popular. And I'll give an example of this. JD Vance was the newest senator-elect to Ohio, and he ran in the 2022 campaign. At the same time that you had a normal Republican governor go up for the ballot. The difference between the votes that JD Vance got versus what the Republican governor got in Ohio.
The wine's not that normal.
Well, regardless of which, there was a difference of 390,000 votes in Ohio.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild.
No, against Vance.
That's
so that's
funny.
one of those deals where it's like, I will give you point where it's like, hey, like he's not as popular as like where I was kind of giving on, but there is levels where like he was popular enough to carry Ohio. So there's levels where Ohio is a red state, but it's not like deep red. It's not fucking, it's not South Carolina, right? It's a state that has plenty of Democrats in it, Democrats that are competitive in those elections who can outright win. What I'm concerned about is that I think Vance gives enough steam back into the Midwest to where Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are definitely back in play, but he is actually costing that ticket in other parts of the country, particularly in the South.
Yeah, what I was going to ask initially is that I think a lot of what I'm seeing in terms of the polls is that they keep including the key normal swing states. But the one state that's usually left out of that, which is wild to me, is North Carolina. I have found that it is actually wild to me. If you look at the North Carolina polls, the lineup against Trump and Kamala were, when I last checked, they were really, really close. But then when you look at the governor's race, it's like miles apart from the same poll.
Oh.
One being a Democrat, the Democrat is leading in North Carolina. So it's so interesting to me to see that from the same poll, the president race is tight, but then the governor's race is so vastly different.
No, but North Carolina is exceptional in that sense because isn't it what's his name, like Mike Robinson that's running?
I believe so.
Yeah, and that dude is the most insane person I have ever seen. Like he makes Marjorie Taylor Greene look like tame. Like that. I think that's why you see the major difference there. But like, yeah. I do wonder how much that's actually going to affect Trump because Trump is sharing a ticket with that guy, and that guy is deeply, deeply hated. He is.
Yeah.
He's not a normal Republican. He's not anything run of the mill. He is. Again, like the next MTG Matt Gaetz type. Like he's just so fucking.
Yeah, I know
with his like bigotry.
And that's what's so interesting to me. And guys, real quick, while Ty is walking away, I want to say, if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. We are doing a massive push to try to get YouTube up and going. It is a slow and hard grind. Okay, if you are on Twitch, just hit that that follow button. Okay, that's all you gotta do if you want to support me. If you really want to support me and you really want to support me, you can drop a subscription for your boy. Okay, we're trying to go and do some other things, but anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on this. The other thing I wanted to talk about, when we talked about Mark Robinson, what is it that some of the things that Mark Robinson has said or done? I'm not really privy to it, and nor do I know if much of my audience is going to be really privy to it. Is there much that you know? Just that he's been kind of crazy.
I wouldn't know. Let's look him up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. Conspiracy.
Are you stupid or are you deaf? Mark Robinson criticizes Kamala Harris's stance on abortion rights.
The first article I found, the unbelievably bonkers conspiracy theorist. This is Huffington Post says the Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson says that Beyonce is satanic, that the 1969 moon landing may have been fake, and that there's a ruling class of secretive reptiles.
What? The third article I saw was Republican Mark Robinson says wickedness of marriage equality will lead to pedophilia as next human right. And I think someone just said it in chat too. Garth Stone said it in chat. Said That's because Mark Robinson is batshit crazy.
That's
And
insane.
yes, that's like literally that is why there is that disparity there. But I think
Yeah.
the disparity. Okay, so I'm gonna lead you. The show's officially over, right?
Yeah, I would say,
We're
look,
in call-in time.
yeah, let's do this. We're in call-in time, and anybody who wants to join in, you're more than welcome to. Here's what I want to do. I want to give my last final wrap up on the political compass, guys. And Redtron, you can clip this in there at some point in the thing if we find like a die down. Thank you guys for watching the political compass. If you really like this content, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and leave a comment for us and let us know what you think. That was our YouTube outro. Anyways, guys, had to do that for the stream. Okay, the stream's not over. I just had to do that for the outro for YouTube. Okay, Redtron needed it. So, anyways, back to the regular topic. So Ty, I don't know if you heard, we just ended up quickly giving a quick outro for the political compass. So we are now officially over the political compass. You are free to go if you need to. But I wanted to wait till you got back to kind of give you that announcement. No, we didn't give final closing thoughts or anything like that. Sure. But it was just a way to kind of formally tie it up and say all that. Cause we ended up going down all this route and we ended up talking about Mark Robinson's conspiracy theories. And apparently he believes in lizard people.
Based. All right. That's great.
We actually did give closing thoughts and both of us just talked shit about you.
Fair enough.
We talked about the dirty centrist.
I got it on the record. I'll go look it up. Anyway, all right. As far as my own outros, if you guys thought that whatever I had to say was interesting today, I'm pretty easy and accessible to have a chat with. If you are, you disagree with me, that's great. But I'll be real with you. If you are like a crazy leftist or you're MAGA, I'm probably going to give you about one shot. And if you come off as deranged and unhinged, you're getting the block button. I don't give a damn. So it's just one of those deals where if you guys want to have a chat, feel free to, as long as it's like, hey, we can get down to some real stuff, but you better bring your homework because I do. So like, unless you're talking about something I don't know what the hell is, which is not going to be much of a conversation. Yeah, you better bring your receipts. Anyway, last but not least, thank you for having me here. I was hoping we see a couple more faces tonight. Some people letting us down.
Hey, one of these days we're going to have every single person in here, and that's going to be glorious. When we have every single person in here, it's going to be a stretch. Hey, this
reminds me of the Mask Off podcast. At first, everyone sits there and goes, hey, like we'll join sometime. And then all of a sudden, everyone's trying to show up every weekend and you'd have a 10-person panel at the, Yeah,
I know. Right.
Real quick. It's Tiberius_D on Twitch, right?
I've got it down on the bottom of my particular stream here, but I do, I got Facebook, I've got Twitch, I've got YouTube, I've got a little bit of TikTok, although I don't use shit on it.
Come on, I know you want to join the Taylor Swift theme on TikTok. All right, we'll do it. We'll do
your mouth.
We'll do a TikTok together.
Shut
we can
your
do a stitch.
Whore mouth.
We can do a stitch. You could be Travis Kelce. I could be Taylor Swift. Okay, and we'll do.
Oh my God, I hate you so much.
Anyway, God, we could do that scene from the Eras tour where he comes out wearing a suit and carries.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
God. I love you, Tiberius. No, honestly, guys, that's awesome, Tiberius. I'm glad you can come, man. We are gonna have everybody here at some point. I do want people to know. Look, I'm gonna spoil something. You're getting a behind the scenes for all of our viewers here. We have a total of 30 viewers. I want to let you guys know, stretched out across Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Not TikTok yet. I'm working on TikTok. We are going to have a pretty interesting guest join us soon, hopefully soon, when he's available. Most of you guys may be familiar with this person. He's a little bit against the he's against the grain. He's kind of like a counterpoint to everybody else. You can kind of get the drift, okay, of who we're.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you. No, like I said,
rhymes with Jim Balls, and he's running for vice president. This guest is going to be great.
Look, don't even start about the social media blitz by Trump. Okay, that's second cringe to the Taylor Swift thing. Okay, the Taylor Swift thing is not cringe. Okay, it's all right. But no, yeah, it's gonna be really awesome, guys. And this is kind of our outro. Honestly, it's almost 9:00 now. Something I do want to let you guys know about is I am trying to push YouTube like crazy. Let me tell you something. YouTube's a beast. Okay, it is a beast. So if you're not following me on YouTube, please make sure you follow me on YouTube. The dog bot there had just spit out that YouTube link. Join me, follow me, subscribe to me there. I think we're at like 54 subscribers. The other superpower I love, Tiberius, you were talking about, like, real quick, the last thing, when you're talking about, you know, if you're going to come at me, come with your homework. The one thing I love about Twitter is because I give short, quick, snappy takes, is that people don't realize who I am. And it's always fun to me because they'll be like, oh yeah, did you know this? And I'm like, oh, okay, wait, choose my battles. Okay, this is good. Boom. And then I hit them with the fact check, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't expect that. But anyways, I love that. Also, guys, I do have now TikTok Live. I am working on trying to find a freaking day. So it looks like Fridays. So next Friday, we're going to try to do a TikTok Live. And then we're also going to do a Twitter space for the second hour. So the first hour from 7 to 8 is going to be a TikTok Live. If I can get it to work, I will test it out. And then from 8 to 9, we are going to do a Twitter space. Topics will be released. That is something I'm working on. And then next Saturday, we are doing the political compass once again. So this is going to be a repetitive podcast that we kind of bring on all of our guests. Again, for anyone who's new to this, this is where we bring in reasonable people with reasonable conversations. That's kind of the motto of the show. It is not a debate panel. We don't bring on people to sit there and, you know, I don't want to get mad at Tiberius's Taylor Swift takes because they're just dog trash and dog shit, you know, but no, that's
proud
not
of it too.
That's not what we do here. We just have good, honest conversations. You didn't see one of us sit there and start screaming off like Rob Noor, 15 points. By the way, Tiberius and everybody else here, I have no problem calling him out for this. Wes was in here, I think, last night when we were going over that. That was insane. Okay. I'm going to reveal Rob's little secret power here. What he'll do is, we literally tracked this. We started off with like government budgets or whatever it was. And then it went to Congress, and then it went to inflation, and then it went to Kamala, all within the span of about 1 minute. And I'm like, by the time we got to the 15th point, the first point is gone and forgotten about.
Yep.
And I'm like, and then anytime someone would try to stop his thought train, they would end up, he would be like, hold on, I need to make my point. It's like, bro, your point is so far removed from where the original point was. So I found the cheat code to anybody who wants to debate Rob. You know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, anyways, guys, that was a long way of me saying, hey, guys, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you guys. And be sure to tune in on Tuesday. And next Saturday, you'll see our boy, hopefully Tiberius, hopefully Wes, our fellow commie, and maybe some other people. But Wes, do you have any last thing you want to say? Shout out or anything like that, Wes, or anything else? Last thing you want to say?
I just want to say that everyone should look into leftism as an alternative. If you're as downtrodden by the Dems and the Republicans as most people seem to be right now, I don't know, maybe violent revolution is the way. I'm just saying, like in Minecraft.
Stop.
Like,
we're not promoting that right now. Look, you're about to send Tiberius over the edge.
I thought this was about sensible people. Like I'm putting in
that ended 30 seconds ago.
Okay, well I'm going to put it in for this. Like if we're looking for sensible people, and this guy's going to say that, I'm putting in for Ancom Psycom to replace him, or maybe Canadar. But
no, Jack. Yo, you really want to bring Jack into here? Think about that one, Ty. Think about how that's gonna go.
Like Jack is combative, but at least he's sensible. Like that's he just pisses everybody off.
I would bring Jack in here, but
if you're openly advocating for leftism, I'm going to say no.
I would have to. And Psychom's in here too. I want to make one last thing, guys. This right here. I want people to know I'm going to be the first person on YouTube to carry around this big ass thing around some rallies. So that's coming soon. Okay. I'm trying to work on the logistics there, but this little snowball, that's a blue snowball. And this right here, my friends, this is a USB to USB-C connector. And guess what? I can hook this up to my phone and it sounds fucking amazing. Way better than my lavalier mic.
All right.
So I'm going to get a boom arm. It's going to be connected right here. And it's going to be a big old boom arm, and it'll be like a microphone. I'll be walking around like this with my other hand with the camera. It's going to be pretty cool. I don't know. We'll see how it works. I'm trying to do some big things, you know.
Got a question for you.
Find a pop filter for that thing.
How was the Cypher meetup?
Yo, so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too. So the Cypher meetup Oh man, dude, it was wild. So I met up with him, but I was also like frantically trying to get my shit to work. It was not working. So I was like, what the hell is going on? Get this, Tiberius. You would love this. Bro,
Wow.
I'm so ticked off. My first ever street interview was me and Cypher were at this tent, and it was about the border. And they had the mayor of McAllen, Texas. They had another, I think it was a Texas congressional member or something, and 2 other podcast hosts or whatever. They were kind of doing this thing. So we're at the tent. We were listening to it and everything. Cypher asked the question. It was pretty cool. Got it on video. My shit was bugging because my hat flew off, literally flew off of my head, went into a gutter, almost went into a gutter, but was like right there. Anyways, my camera flipped the orientation and it bugged out my stream. So I didn't know this. All of a sudden, guess who I see walking down the sidewalk? The mayor of McAllen, Texas. So I'm like, oh, no way. So I'm like, hey, sir, it's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ask you some questions about, the border and things like that. First mistake, first of all, didn't realize he's a Republican. So I was asking him Democrat questions. Whoops. Really stupid. Okay. Good thing it wasn't on camera because guess what? The feed got cut. So there was no video feed and just audio. Mm-hmm. I'm like, fuck. So then I'm sitting there, and I walked up and down Congress Ave about 100 times because I could not find somebody to interview. I was trying to find somebody with a political t-shirt or something that was kind of more, approachable.
Visibly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. And so like, this is what I was just saying at the very beginning of the show is like when I walked past this guy, he had on a White Dudes for Harris shirt. And I almost, and this is not really a big thing, but I almost wanted to interview him because I was like, oh, White Dudes for Harris. I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, I'm going to go interview him. I didn't interview him. And then guess what? I get back home about a day later. I see his face all over Twitter because he went and trolled Nancy Pelosi. I'm like, all right, that weekend fucking sucked. The best part of that weekend was when I went down to 6th Street and I had a few drinks. Okay. That was literally the best. Meeting up with Cypher. It was cool. Like I loved meeting up with him. Problem was he had tickets to go into the ticket events. I didn't. And so I didn't want to stop him. I was like, hey man, you go do those ticketed events. Those are pretty cool. But I didn't have him. So I was literally left to walk up and down Congress Ave for 3 hours. Okay. 3 hours. I walked up and down Congress Ave looking for people to interview. And I didn't get to interview any of them. So
I told you to fucking do YouTube. I told you to do YouTube.
By the way, anybody, this is a product review, sort of. This little thing fucking sucks. Okay. Which is why I've got this thing right here. Okay. I don't care how bulky this thing is. I asked my chat that I'm like, have you ever seen anybody interview with this blue snowball?
With a snow globe?
Exactly, bro. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And it hooks up straight up to my phone. And it sounds amazing.
We'll see the bug testing. Let's see how it goes.
That's what I was saying. I'm going to have to put like a little windscreen on it or something to like prevent some of the wind from getting in there. Maybe I'll have to do like a field test with it, but yeah. So it was good. It was good meeting up with him, but
no bullshit. Cover it in fuzz. Like something like this, actually, if you can see it, where like, if you can.
What about a sock?
That's usually a sock helps.
Yes, I wasn't joking. It's actually called a pop filter. I was serious when I said to get a pop filter for that.
What if I got like a sock, just like a tube sock, and I put it on here? That's content. That's fucking content,
dude,
bro.
And then it's a little memey.
You're getting too meme brain.
All right.
You need to cut it out.
It's a little memey.
Dancing to Taylor Swift, and you're thinking about putting a tube sock on a microphone.
Facts.
It's time for an intervention.
Facts.
Intervention here. Listen, all right. I'm becoming
the worst nightmare.
I only bring up your meme brainness because I care for you. All right.
No, hey, I said it. I kind of went on a little monologue, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. Is I really do appreciate every single one of you guys because this time around that I'm streaming is just so different. The vibes are completely different. I'm actually going out there with Cypher and being able to do some things. I want to do more with Cypher. He lives in Texas with me. And so it's super cool to be able to like meet up with him, and it's not a far drive for me at all. And so I'm going to try to look out for more events that are happening in that area in Austin. And I'm going to try to go and do some more of those things. I think there's like South by Southwest that usually brings a few politicians. There's some other events, but we're going to try.
You gonna do the next Texas meetup when I come down there, or are you gonna skip out on me again?
if I'm free and it's not like a Sunday, you know me, I'm like very limited on my timing. So if it's hey, Ancom side, I'll reach out to you. But if I'm free, I'll absolutely be there. It's just been one of those things where it's like it just so happened. I literally messaged my wife because she was kind of flip-flopping on whether she wanted to go to her mom's house that weekend. That we went to Austin, and I was like, I was literally, I kid you not, I was like about to message Cypher. I'm like, hey man, sorry, I can't make it because I'm going to my wife's mom's house. And I was like, wait a minute, she doesn't want to go. Hey, honey, do you want to go to Austin this weekend? She's like, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm like, all right, cool. So it was literally last minute. So just let me know in advance and I'll try to make it there.
You've been well advised. It'll be in March. Okay.
March? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
Anscom
actually or Ansicom actually leftist?
Yes.
Like full leftist? Oh my god, yes.
He's literally an anarcho-communist.
Is he like actually still Ancom? I love
it. Just one of you at a time, please. That's all I'm asking.
No, we need more representation. There's not.
No, you don't. You need less representation, preferably zero.
Well, and I want more people. I want more people that are like backups. For example, if Wes can't make it, then we can bring in Ancom. It's a lineup, right? That's kind of what I want, but not a lineup like in debate panels. That's the thing I'm trying to keep away from is where we have like 50 people. And I don't want 50 people like that. I don't think, and quite honestly, I don't think you can get 50 people in the same room and have, reasonable conversations. Is very far and few between. I don't mind a little spice. Little spice is nice, but nothing crazy. Anyways, guys, it is now 15 minutes over and I had been spieling about my live streams and shit. Be sure to join TikTok and see my new Taylor Swift. So we did Shake It Off last night. We're going to do Bad Blood tonight before we go to bed. I might be wearing.
God, shut up!
Is Bad Blood even Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
I see. I got you, motherfucker.
No, I know you're not Ancom. You're more than welcome in. I'll bring you into the political compass too. I might make a Discord so people can mute this because I that's probably what Sansel did. Sansel might have muted the conversation because I was blowing up people's things. So I might just message people individually. But I'll drag you in.
If he did, that's his fault. He needs to like unfuck that shit.
Yeah, let me Ancom. Send me a friend request, Ancom, on Discord. Because I don't have you on Discord. So, or Ty could probably add you. I don't know if Ty has permissions.
I mean, yeah, I can add him up. Give me a second here.
Yeah.
One more crazy leftist to the crew.
One more crazy leftist.
He's actually leftist mix two.
He's actually not like cool.
We're not taking over. This isn't Springfield, Ohio.
Do we have any good backups? Let me do this. Do we? And anybody in chat? Well, I don't want to name drop. So we'll wait till after stream's over.
Oh, he's actually got to accept a friend from me.
Okay, yeah, Ancom, go ahead, accept that friend request from Ty, and also try to send me a friend request as well. I'll also try to see if I can find you on here. Ancom. Oh, I see you right here.
Lactoid is streaming.
Even taking the Arrested Development line and turning it into a negative.
Wait,
there are dozens of us. It canceled the communists in chat. Said there aren't even dozens of us, which is a joke. I'm assuming a joke on the line from Arrested Development. That is, there are dozens of us trying to justify.
Was there anyone wanting to join the open, or are we pretty well done tonight?
Yeah, we're pretty much done. We're done. Let me go ahead. I will raid.
I'm gonna raid Lactoid.
You can raid Lactoid. I'm gonna raid Lactoid too. So let's do that. Oh my God, Wick's got like a 30-person panel. All right, let's go ahead.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's got like 30 people in that panel. I don't know what the hell he's doing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, guys. I'm gonna raid Lactoid TV. Shout him out. He's also a reasonable righty. So he's a libertarian, right? What is he? Right? I don't know. Lactoid TV. Did I do that right? I sure did. Oh, I did that all. Whoops. Shit. Okay, let's go to Twitch. Did I do that right? I didn't do that right. Okay. Great. Oh, shit. Come on. I hate doing this from Streamlabs.
Do you want me to do it for you?
I think I can do it. Let me try it one more time.
It will end your stream.
Oh, shit. It wants me to like sign into Twitch. Yeah, please do it for me. Please. I can't do it. And it's annoying the shit out of me. All right, guys.
Here you go.
All right. It's starting. Okay. Let me go on. Oh, where am I? Fuck. One of these days, I'm gonna have a perfect stream with zero problems. I promise it's coming. All right, let me see. Do you have the raid going? I don't see it.
Yeah, it says it started. Join us in following Lactoid TV. Oh wait, no, that's a different.
Did you click the wrong chat? You ended up doing like doing fucking like Lucid's chat or something.
No, I actually I might not have. I think
It's okay,
I
I got
might
it.
have to be editor to do.
It's okay. I'm doing it right now.
/raid.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do /raid.
All right, gotcha. Okay, all right, guys, join that raid. We are going to raid our boy Lactoid TV. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I will see y'all.